I'm going to start with what leadership is not, because I think it's just as important to define something by saying this is what it is not before you talk about what it is. Um, Leadership is not management. And I think this is a trap that a lot of people fall in, especially in the corporate world. And I know this, I've seen this in my career, where people were managers and people thought they were leaders, or even they thought they were leaders, but really they weren't leading, they were managing. And I think there's a big difference between a leader who's setting the direction, responsible for the vision and the direction, and a manager who's responsible for execution and operation. And a lot of people who think they are leaders or claim to be leaders or are pushed into a leadership position are really managers. And that happens very often in the corporate world, where people are great individual contributors. So they're a great designer, a product manager, a business analyst, a great engineer. And because they're really good at what they do, they get pushed up the ladder into management and leadership because of the lack of a career path in many cases for someone who wants to stay an individual contributor. And that's unfortunate because really they're managers, and sometimes they don't enjoy being managers. They'd rather just keep doing the craft of what they enjoy and they're great at, but they get forced into that position. So leadership is not management. And the other key thing is it's not about power. It's not about the money, even though you do, as a side effect of moving into leadership, you often do have more power and you do become compensated more greatly, obviously. And it's not about title. A lot of people will get a title of a leader, but that doesn't make you a leader. So pursuing the title, pursuing the money and the power is really the wrong path. And there's a quote from Abraham Lincoln on this that I think is great, where it says that anyone can withstand adversity. Most people can withstand adversity, but the true test of someone's character is to give them power. And I found this, unfortunately, often in my career, where someone who was a great individual contributor and seemed like a really nice person, and maybe they are because of with the role they were in, and got promoted into a position of power, given a title, given management, and their personality and their behavior changed dramatically. So now they were given power and they were no longer kind, they were no longer generous, they were no longer treating people with respect. And it's a true test of someone's character. It's not when they don't have power or they don't have anything, because a lot of people are nice when they don't have anything because they want something. But you put a person in a position of power, and then you see what they're really made of. And you'll see the great leaders are the people who are still kind and they're generous and they have humility, even though they're really powerful in the organization. That's a true leader. The people who take that power and become cruel and they become controlling and demanding, that's not a true leader. And it's unfortunate when that happens, but you can't seize power, you can't seize leadership. It's something that you have to earn. And so what is leadership? I think if you look back on the lives of people who are leaders, they've kind of always been leaders. That even as a small child, they've stepped into roles of leadership. They're often the one who's controlling what's going on with the play and the games and things like that. They just can't help themselves. But more importantly, other people look to them to be that leader. And so you may have encountered this in your own life if you're one of these people that have a leadership trait, is that you'll be in a situation where people are trying to figure something out and everybody kind of turns and looks at you. And they're like, well, what should we do? How should we move forward? What do you want us to do now? And you may not even ask to be in this leadership position, but everybody kind of knows that you are. And, it's a very natural human instinct to kind of detect the level of leadership in different people. And so you may have found in your career and in your life, people naturally turn to you to be the decision maker. And so that's what I mean by earning leadership, is that a leader has followers. So a manager or someone who sees control may have people under their control, but they're not willing followers. A leader has people who are willing to follow that person. And one of the interesting things that you'll see with someone who's a really good leader is when they leave a company and go to a new company, how many people follow them from the old company? When someone's not a great leader, people are glad that they've left. They are certainly not going to follow that leader to a new company and put up with that again. But if you're a really good leader, people tend to follow you from company to company because they really like your style of leadership and they felt like you respected them and they felt like they grew underneath your leadership. So as I said, it's about incredible amount of responsibility and accountability and sacrifice. I mean, you really are making a sacrifice in many cases within your own personal life. And I'll talk about that in a bit, some of the sacrifices that I had to make. But you do make sacrifices for the good of the team and looking out for your people and for the good of the company. And it's not always something that's going to be personally great for you, but you are looking out for them and you're looking out for the company. And it's often about stepping up to do what no one else wants to do or can do, right?